So in this video, I thought it would be fun to do a quick breakdown of one of my shots on season 2 of The Legend of Vox Machina. I had posted a short breakdown on my Twitter channel where I showed kind of the cube pass that I use to kind of block in this shot. But here I kind of want to dive a little bit more in depth in my thought process and kind of look at some of the main passes to complete this animation. So with anything on this show, we started with storyboards, and these were the storyboards I was given, and these are some fantastic storyboards. All the storyboards throughout working on the show were super awesome and really gave us a strong foundation to work off of. You can see from this storyboard how closely it matches my animation. And I believe these were done by Cassie Kuo. Super awesome storyboards here. You can see them. So yeah, looking at these storyboards, you can see, again, how closely they match my animation. Really all the main beats are there. All the main action points are in these storyboards. So we can have, you know, the character kind of running in from off screen a bit, kind of jumping over the tail there, then whips around and then gets grabbed by the tail. So really everything I needed were in these storyboards. Now, one thing that we needed to switch up slightly from the storyboards was just the overall timing and really the amount of time I felt like I needed in order to sell all of these different actions. So the character running in from off screen, jumping over the tail, hitting the other character with the tail, then getting grabbed by the tail and getting thrown to the ground. So I felt like we needed a bit more time to actually sell that when it came to the 3D animation. So what I can do is just pull up really the first pass for this. And this is something that you've probably seen on my channel quite often, where I like to start my shots with a cube pass. And this also really helped figure out the timing and really the length that I needed in this shot to kind of achieve everything that we wanted to. So I started with the cubes and I created basically the outline for the entire action and tried to figure out how much time I needed. And this was something where I actually showed the technical director, Eddie Gonzalez, this very early pass so that we could figure out if this timing would work and if we could actually add some time to this overall shot. So you can see this goes to, I believe, frame 144, and the storyboards were around like frame 120 or so. So we added just a little bit of time to this. But with my cube passes, once I get really the timing and the whole action set down in just these cubes, we can already see from these cubes kind of the overall action. And you can see how closely, if I jump back to the boards, how closely they actually match the storyboards as far as the action, just by seeing those cubes. And then the next step to that was really just attaching the rigs, the dragon rigs, to the cubes themselves. So I can get this, which you've probably seen in my other videos, this almost sort of like action figure pass where the character is all moving as one unit. We have the legs and the head and their tails as well, just stuck in their one pose. But we're basically just attaching that main kind of center of gravity control to those cubes. And then once I'm happy with this, and I probably did a few, you know, timing and spacing tweaks once I actually saw them on the character. And then it's just going in there and really just layering on pass by pass all the detail that I wanted to get in this shot. So, you know, doing a leg pass, going through and start animating the chest. So you can see here kind of where we're at in this pass once we started layering on the details. So you can see, like, as he stands up there, we have some nice kind of drag in the head a bit. The arms and the legs are actually animated. I'm starting to animate the tail because the tail is really important as far as, you know, jumping over it. You can see I didn't actually really get the tail perfect there. I kind of just wanted to get the main action across. And you can see there's quite a bit of jank here on the chest. I didn't really worry about that. I was kind of just trying to get the main feeling of the movement in there, and then I can go back and actually start to polish things up as far as like removing, you know, some of the bad like popping and breaking of the shoulders there, and really making sure I fix those. And but you'll also notice on this character, the one that's getting thrown around currently, the tail is not animated at all. So for that, I hadn't even touched the tail yet. But even without touching it, you can see the tail is, you know, kind of traveling where I want, because I know I need to have this tail actually hit and knock that dragon to the ground. But then you can see through here how the legs kind of just lock back into their kind of default pose, because I hadn't actually got to animating that yet. So on this pass as well, the ending was slightly different. They actually kind of were going to collide and almost like get into like this sort of like wrestling match for the end of the shot. So you can see, you know, they both stand up and then they're going to kind of collide here. We ended up changing that, and I believe, let's see, I believe this is just the final pass that we can open up. Again, just further refining this pass by pass, you know, adding more and more detail, animating the hips and animating the wings and animating like the neck and the head, getting some drag in there. But you can see on this, we ended up changing it to where once he gets thrown to the ground, the camera is a little bit different here too. We kept it kind of staying at this one place rather than before it kind of pulled in and rotated around them. We kind of just kept it more or less kind of in the same area after he gets thrown. And then standing up, and then this one kind of backs off and does this sort of like roar moment at the end right in here. And then the idea this character would be kind of dragging across the screen and kind of like sweeping across the screen as it cut to the next shot. So I think this ended up working quite a bit better than them kind of having to collide with each other. It was also a little bit easier to actually animate this than animating, you know, two dragons like colliding and wrestling for the end of the shot. So this made it a little bit easier as well to figure this kind of section out. But yeah, I'll just play it through here and you can kind of see the overall action for this. And I believe I actually have, let me actually jump into the Maya scene for this as well. I think this is just the last shot for this, kind of the final pass, but you can kind of see, you know, we have our camera set up, the actual shot camera. So definitely in this shot was so complex that I did a lot of just animating straight to camera because I just needed to make sure it looked good from camera view. And, you know, some of this stuff is cheated in order to just get it to look proper from the camera view. But I can jump back to perspective and we can kind of look at it here. You can see the playback in the viewport is pretty slow because these dragons are, you know, pretty complex rigs. If I turn on the rig controls, you can see, you know, how many controls we have to work with here. But we can kind of see from, you know, a different angle. And you can actually see in this shot here, and it might just be something, maybe there was a shot where I actually fixed this and this isn't the last shot. I could be wrong, but it could just be something. Yeah, this is an area where it definitely, you can see it just animated to camera view because the wings here, if I go back to perspective, are kind of gimbaling out in a couple of these frames. Might have been a little bit before. Where was it? Yeah, right in here. You can see them kind of flipping around and gimbaling out like crazy for, you know, 5 or 6 frames. But camera view, don't see it at all. I was definitely lucky in this shot in particular that they didn't actually end up changing the camera that I animated at all. It kind of just stuck to this. So some of those, you know, gimbal issues and the wings flipping out, luckily it didn't come back to bite me if they needed to change the camera at all and bring it out or anything like that, because then you would easily see those issues in the final shot there. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hopefully it was helpful to kind of see sort of behind the scenes of approaching a shot like this from start to finish, getting the storyboards, and in this case the animation, you know, stayed really close to those initial storyboards, just a few tiny little minor tweaks, but the overall action stayed exactly the same. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more future content.